Hello guys, welcome to the new Python tutorial, the second one. So if you didn't see the first one, maybe go check it out first because some of the thing we learned, we're actually gonna use them, some of them in this episode. So I leave the link in the description. So yeah, go check it out. So this episode is based on mathematical calculations, for example addition, subtraction, multiplication and divisions, and we're gonna see how they work in Python. So let's open up idle. Okay, so first I'm gonna show you how to do all this stuff. So addition is with a plus, minus is with a minus, multiply is with a star, and divide is with a slash. So 3 plus 3, for example, equals 6. 3 minus equals 0. 3 times 3 is equal 9. And 3 divided by 3 is equal 1. So there's no problem with that. Now I'm gonna show you how it works when we do more than one at a time. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 is gonna equal 9, no problems. 6 minus 3 minus 3 is gonna equal 0, no problem with that either. So what happens if we put multiplication and an addition together? In what order is that gonna work? So we can see that it did the multiplication first, as we would expect it. So 3 times 3 equals 9, plus 4, 9 plus 4 is equal to 13, so no problems with that. So it should be pretty much the same with the division. 10 by 5 minus 1 is equal to 1. 10 by 5 is 2 minus 1, 1. So no problems with that. Now you might ask yourself, what would happen if we put a decimal? Well, 10.5 plus 2 equals 12.5, no problems with that. 2.5 times 3 is 7.5, no problems. But there is one catch. If you want to divide something, for example, let's say 5 by 2, it's not gonna return 2.5, but Python is actually gonna round up divisions to the lowest point. So for example, 3 by 2 is gonna be 1, and it's not gonna be 1.5. So I'll show you later in this video how to calculate with the decimal. So yeah, that's basically it for the simple mathematical calculations. Okay, so now let's talk about int, str and float. So yeah, let's start with int. Mm, in the previous episode I told you there are different kind of values. So for example, there is the numerical value. 4, for example, is a numerical value, and in quotes things are strings. For example, hello is a string. You can also put a single quotation mark, uh, hello. This will work fine too. So if you put a number into a quotation, it's not actually gonna return a numerical value, but it's gonna return a string. So if you add for example 3 plus 4, it's gonna show you an error. It's gonna return an error. If you want to to add together a string and an integer, what you have to do is simply 3 plus int open parenthesis open quotation mark 4 close quotation and close parenthesis. Now enter, and we can see that this worked without problem. So now let's try with variables. So x equals 4, y equals 5, z equals int x plus y. So now let's print z, and it returned 5 without problem. So if we put z equals x plus y, and if we omit the int part, it's gonna return again the same error. Not the same error, but it will tell you that it cannot concatenate string and integer objects, which means simply you cannot add a string and a numerical value together. That's not possible. Which also brings me to str. So str, how do you use it? Simply, so as I said before, you might want to convert strings into numerical values with the int. Well, str is the opposite. It will convert anything, so numerical values included, into strings. For example, string 4. You can see that there is quotations here, so we can see that that is a string. So if we want to add hello and how are you, which are two strings, it's gonna return it without problems, like this. But if we add together hello and for, it's gonna say again cannot concatenate string and int object. So how to fix that? Simply hello plus str open parenthesis for close parenthesis enter, and we can see that it converted the for into a string without problem, and printing the string as a whole. So now let's try it variables. X equals hello. Oh, let's x equals fishes, y equals 3, z equals str y plus x. Now print z, 3 fishes. So we can see that it worked also without a problem. So yeah, the string function, pretty easy to understand, pretty easy to use, and not a real problem. So now the last one, float. What float does is that it converts integers or numbers into decimals. For example, x equals 10 float x, it's going to return 10.0 even if x is 10. So how would you use that? For example, like I said before, division in 5 divided by 2, it's not gonna return 2.5, but it's gonna return 2. So now if you use float 5 divided by 2, it's gonna return 2.5 without problem. So that is how you could use the float function to how you would use it. Now the float function can also convert strings into numerical values. For example, let's try like before. X equals hello, y equals 4, z equals x plus float y. Now enter. Oh, my bad. So I meant you can convert strings into objects. So how would you do that is x equals 3, y equals 4, sorry, and now z equals x plus float y. So now enter, print z, and we can see that it returned 7.0 without problem. The point 0 is here because we used float. If we used int z equals x plus int y, it would return 7 and not 7.0. So yeah, float function, very useful, and that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. So leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.